I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Welcome to the June 13th Village of Goshen Board meeting. First, we're going to make a modification to the agenda. We're going to add a executive session after citizen comments to discuss current litigation or arbitration with the town of Goshen. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, we're going to approve two village board minutes. First, the May 23rd village board meeting. Does everyone have a moment to look over the minutes? Any changes anyone would like to make? All right, can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, carries. Now the June 6th village board work session minutes. Everyone had a moment to look those over. Any changes anyone would like to make? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Meg, did I have my comment put in there? Yes, thank you. Okay, no problem.
All right. All in favor of accepting the minutes, signify by saying aye.
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 All right, carries. Now I have an abstract of vouchers. Can I ask for a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, bills as examined by members of the board were approved in accordance with abstract 2010-2011, number 29, check numbers 1663 through 1694, in the amount of $191,529.66. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, now we have a hiring resolution. This is to fill the part-time position in our office here. When our treasurer retired earlier this year, our deputy treasurer, Sarah Goldberg, was made our new treasurer. And we are replacing Sarah Goldberg as a deputy treasurer with a part-time position. So that it's not going to be receiving any benefits or any of that from the village. And just working a few hours a day. So it should save us a lot of money, but will also allow the office staff to have the support they need to function properly. So I'm going to ask for a motion for discussion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
No, good move.
I just want to say all the applicants that came forward are very well qualified. We had an excellent pool, and it came down to this individual. All right, Arula Gale is hereby appointed part-time clerk for the Village of Goshen at a salary of $12 an hour. This appointment is effective upon successful completion of a pre-employment physical exam and pre-employment paperwork, and will have a probationary period of 6 months. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. As you can all see, we have a fairly light agenda tonight. The last thing on here, there's no handout. When we had our public hearing on the sewer rate increase, one of the residents that spoke that night, I believe his name was Fred Nowak, I apologize if that's inaccurate, mentioned recycling in the village. Now, we wish that more people had been recycling because, we're spending the money on the tipping fees for our garbage, and if more could be pulled out for recycling, it'd be a cost saver, and any cost saver is a good thing. Well, now that we have single stream recycling and all of the recycling is going to be mixed together, we've seen even more recycling taking place, and that's a positive thing. We're saving money. But really, I think, and others think as well, that we could be going even further to come up with a coherent strategy. So that being said, Jason Wilson is a member of our Environmental Review Board, as is Debbie Maroney. And the two of them have been talking about doing more with the Environmental Review Board. There's not a lot of building going on, so there's not a lot of things they have to look over. There's still some things, but they're really hungry to sink their teeth into something. So Jay came and spoke to me last week about recycling. Unsolicited, totally their idea, and they said, what can we do to get more people recycling? So I said, if your board is interested, and you guys want to take it up, get together as the Environmental Review Board and brainstorm, come up with some policies, things that the village could do, whether just, putting out information in a certain way, or policy changes, or local law, anything. Bring us your ideas. Our board is absolutely very passionate about the environment, and I think it'd be a great place to start to help give this board some direction, some fresh ideas on how to really enforce the recycling, get more of our residents to partake in that. So there's an ERB meeting tomorrow night. Jason and Debbie are going to discuss this with the rest of the ERB. And if they're in favor, it'll be their task to come up with some great ideas for the village.
Great.
And I think it's a really positive thing. So that's exciting. And obviously, helping the environment is always a good thing with recycling. But right now, more than ever, it's the dollars and cents that we really need to be saving money on. If this can generate us, save us some money, it's a great thing. And in addition to that, we had a retirement from our environmental review board not too long ago, and there is still an opening. So I believe, unless I'm wrong, have we gotten any feedback for that? So there's still an opening, so I put it out there for any residents that are passionate about the environment or just passionate about saving money for that matter to throw your name in the hat. We will still be accepting applications for that. And I think that, it's already a great board to be a part of, but to put this in, really bring on someone new that's passionate about these things, it would be a great fit. So anyone out there that's interested, I would definitely encourage you to come forward with that. Any further discussion on that item? Okay. With that, I'll open up to trustee comments. Trustee Matthews?
Okay, we had some difficulties in a couple of places, but luckily we took care of them. We found there was a kind of a sinkhole in front of Blitz on West Main Street, and what we found was there was a water main break that was difficult to find because it ran underneath one of the old brick tunnels, bridges that are underneath the ground. When it showed on the surface, they went to investigate and found the water leak, which is terrific, because once again, it starts closing further the gap between water that we treat and water that ends up getting lost and not going into service. That was a very good job. We also had difficulties at the pump station, which is calibrated by computer at Harness Estates, and they spent a good day getting that orchestrated. It's back working perfectly, and they did a very good job. They only finished about an hour ago. I just want to remind people, I know we've had our outbursts of rain, but for the new trees that have gone in, we purchased them, with the grant money. We plant them for you. Please walk to the, adopt it, make it your own. It's in front of your house. Please make sure it gets watered and protected and not weed whacked. The weed whacking, hitting the young bark absolutely kills the tree within 2 years. So give it water and don't weed whack. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Stewart?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, report of the DPW crews for the last 2-week period. They continue painting with yellow paint, weather permitting. Catch basins are being repaired. They've also been blacktop patching, and of course there was a lot of preparational work that went into the Memorial Day parade. In addition, as the mayor has already said, there's been an increase in the amount of recyclables collected since the combined single stream has gone into effect. However, people should be aware that the recycling still has to go into a separate container. You can't put it in with your garbage. And just to emphasize and re-emphasize that we now, like the county, have single stream recycling, which means you can put it all in one container and it's picked up every single Wednesday. I believe it was Mr. Nowak that made that report. I've been doing this for years and had all my recycling bins. And I look around and see some of my neighbors with 4 garbage cans on a garbage day. I generally put out 1 kitchen garbage bag a week. I don't usually put it out twice a week because I recycle everything that we're allowed to recycle, and would save the village a lot of money if people did it. And as he said that night at that public hearing, you can ride by houses where you don't see any bin out there at all. So I would just encourage people to continue to recycle. It's so much easier now. Just need 1 big bin and you can throw it all in there. That's it.
Thank you.
On that note, though, I think that it is every Wednesday, but like there's some months that have like 5 Wednesdays.
No, I asked Michael that question. He said it's every
So
Wednesday.
now it's every Wednesday.
It used to be the 5th Wednesday because it switched from newspaper to the plastic and cans, and I asked him that one night that he was here, and he said, no, it's every Wednesday.
Okay, very good.
Trustee Char?
Just congratulations to Officers Gregario, Rad, Theo, Swalsey, McLeary, and DeCiambre, who on June 4th were recognized as the Village of Goshen's Officers of the Year at the annual Police Chiefs Organization of Orange County Award Ceremony. Recognized for saving 3 lives in 2010 using CPR and donated defibrillators. otherwise, things are very good in the police department. That's it.
All right. Trustee Smith?
Yeah.
All right, I just have a few things. Last week, I was invited and attended the Goshen Senior Club's 40th anniversary luncheon. It was a wonderful event. They really did a great job putting it together. There was dancing, there was great food, and it was a really nice time, and I was happy to be part of it. And they are a very fun club. Yesterday, myself and a few of the other trustees attended Rotary's Taste of Goshen event at the Harness Racing Museum. I thought it was a wonderful event. The Rotary raised a lot of money that they're going to now send out to their good causes they're involved in and help some businesses get their names out there. It fed a lot of people, and it was an overall great event. Just a reminder to the public that this coming Sunday and Great American Weekend as well, we have the racing at the harness track. It really is a wonderful thing. If you can get out there and support the track, it's a great experience to be there, and we're one of the few communities that has something as wonderful as that. So I really encourage anyone in the public that is looking for something to do on Sunday or any of the other few days that the races are going on to head over there. It really is wonderful. And last week, the board, we discussed our current IMA with the town of Goshen, and we're talking about different strategies to move forward. I delivered a letter to the supervisor last Wednesday. We had a really good conversation. The supervisor was very receptive to a lot of the concerns we had. We're not agreeing on everything, but we're still having very good and frank discussions. And today, actually, Mr. Bloomfield stopped by and we spoke for about half an hour. And it was, again, a very productive conversation. And I'm looking forward to things continuing in the right direction. And with that, I'll open it up to citizen comments. Yes?
Any luck unearthing the tan bill to the village?
Still nothing. I'm not sure what happened. The work was definitely done, but the concrete bill itself, that I'm not positive on. So.
Okay, and then just another comment. Yeah, I've heard quite a few people mention that they don't think that the Salesian Park is being used. And, I would argue otherwise. Just having, my mom's residence here on Main Street, whenever I'm doing work in the yard there's always people walking back and forth to and from that park. And when I have visited, there's always people there.
Sure. Well, and this summer, they have Shakespeare in the Park will be back there, and that's a great event.
Yeah, so I think it's a bogus complaint.
Well, hopefully now that once that bathroom is fully constructed, that'll help generate some more activity there as well. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ready?
Ask
Good.
something now.
I've got it. Come on, Red. A couple of follow-ups. Of course, there's the usual one about the compliance conferencing and the consent order. We're 2 weeks later since the last answer. What's the update?
David, any new activity on that front?
There's no new activity. I did have communication by email with the Assistant Attorney General about 3 weeks ago, and he indicated he would be in touch with me shortly.
On the police drive situation, there was a letter which we all know was sent to the town. Has there been any change in that situation since the last time we spoke about it?
From my understanding, there hasn't been any direct change with the residents out there. I think they're still suffering from the same plight. But I know that the town did communicate our letter to the DEC. There was a letter the DEC sent back to the town that I don't have in front of me right now. I think it's more the DEC says they're monitoring and they're happy about the offer, but I don't know if anything has changed.
So there's been no direct communication between the village and the DEC?
We are communicating with the board that governs those residences, and they are talking with the DEC.
What is the status of the situation with the hookup at the Orange County DPW? And with looking into that as to why it happened in the way it did?
Right now, our village attorney is communicating with the county attorney. They're working towards an IMA.
And what about any understanding that has been gained as to how it happened the way it did?
But, again, I can't speak to specifics right now without, looking back in research. I know that I believe Mayor Higgins was involved in certain conversations. And, since then, our engineer has been involved in conversations, our attorney and myself. So I know where we are now, and we're in a good place.
Conversations with...
I can't speak to conversations another individual have, and me speculating. But I know there was communication, and as I said, our engineers speaking to the county engineers and their DPW office, and our attorneys speaking to their attorney's office.
With regard to the resolution that was passed a couple of weeks ago with Taylor, was it 2 weeks ago at this point?
I believe so.
Right. I had a question about that. I don't know whether this would be better spoken to by council or the mayor, but my understanding of what happened that night is that the board passed a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a contract upon the approval of that contract by council.
Correct.
The satisfaction of council with the terms of the contract. This was done after one work session without any period of investigation or research. Taylor came in here.
I'm sorry, that's not accurate.
Well, let me finish and then...
Well, you can't say something that's not accurate, and just move on.
Okay, let me finish and then you can correct me. Taylor did come in for a presentation. The following week, there was a vote on that proposition. It was left in that, the manner in which it was left, that the mayor is authorized to sign it, means that the board will not have further input with regard to this contract. It can just simply be signed, will be signed by the mayor, without it coming back for approval to the board.
I'm going to let you finish before I jump in, just out of respect, but I am taking issue with a few things. you're saying.
Okay. I would appreciate if you could speak to what the urgency of the situation is, that it needs to be effectuated in such a rapid manner without an ongoing appraisal by the board as this thing plays out.
Sure. Well, I appreciate your passion and attention to the issue. However, I must say that we've been in discussions with Taylor since I first took office. We got a letter. I met with the representative from Taylor, with Superintendent Nuzlees. We talked about what they could offer, what the prices were and all that. We talked around to some other people. We looked at numbers. We investigated what our costs are now, what they would be under that plan, what the cost savings would be, any issues that might arise. So we had those conversations. Then we brought them in for a work session, so the board could also hear what I had heard, and I spoke to the board after that. Then we had the contract, and this board appoints a village attorney, because that's what the village attorney does, is look over contracts to make sure we're covered. So we're still in the process of reviewing that contract. Before I sign it, I'm going to be in communication with the board. It's not going to be done, randomly after the fact. The board's indicated by approving that motion, they were interested, they wanted to move forward. But again, we're not rushing into this, as is apparent by the fact that 2 weeks later, the contract hasn't been signed. We're continuing to evaluate, investigate. Our attorney's looking it over, and he's going to be in touch with their attorneys if there's concerns. But we're not going to sign on to anything that is not in the best interest of this village, fiscally, environmentally, and legally.
And in support of what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, I would like to say that at no time was there any discussion about our involvement being precluded. Whenever a contract is drawn up, we always have been shown the contract before it gets signed. So I think that your expression of concern may be a little bit focused on a negative setup that does not exist.
Just to answer that briefly and then drop it, it's just a change in protocol from what I've observed at this board, which is that the final say on contracts always is discussed openly by the board. It always comes back to the board before it's authorized. There's then a resolution to sign a contract. It just seems to be a change, and I was simply raising the question as to why that protocol was changed in this case.
I obviously always welcome to raise any question that you'd like, but I can say there has not been a change in protocol like that. So, thank you.
Would it make a difference?
I'm sorry?
Would it made a difference? I mean, I don't see if that was...
If you're asking me
would it made
personally,
a
I think it makes a difference. I think the board always should have the final approval by resolution on a significant contract that's going to be a 20-year commitment. I think that should always be a resolution by the board.
Well, just to respond to that, and particularly the question of the 20 years, there were many issues that were raised in that discussion at the work session and when on the night of the vote that was taken in support of negotiations occurring. And all of those issues that were enumerated by several of the board members will be discussed, enumerated in response, worked out with their attorney, and then our attorney goes back to us. I mean, it's the way it works.
Right, and in my role as the mayor, I am the chief officer of the village, but I am not the lone policymaker. There is a village board for a reason, because our decisions, our policies are those that are created by the village board, the democratic process.
That's exactly my point.
And then we all agree.
Any further questions this evening? Any further questions this evening? Oh, okay. All right, no other questions from the audience. I'll ask for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
With no business to be done after we return. Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.